On this episode of System Integrators Weekly, it's iBUYPOWER's Ready Systems versus Skytech's Prebuilts. The competition is fierce, and both of them come out swinging. All that and more on this episode of System Integrators Weekly. Let's go, nerds! Hello everyone, I'm Brea Thorne. Welcome to System Integrators Weekly, where we are just as excited as you are about the upcoming releases of new hardware, and also just as confused as you are as to whether it's worth it to wait or get stuff right now. Actually, I ran a poll on my Twitter, which should be finishing around the time we're finishing editing this video, as to whether it's a better idea to buy the massively available 30 series GPUs, if you're thinking NVIDIA anyway, or wait for 40 series GPUs. After Jace 2 Cent dropped their video yesterday kind of going over all of the rumors, which were a bit confusing themselves, but very exciting either way. Also a little intimidating with those power requirements. Yikes. So if you did vote that you're not really wanting to wait, you wanted to get something right now, it's a pretty good time to buy a PC, it seems, because really you're finding GPUs at MSRP. What world is this? This is crazy. The last, almost year, more than a year and a half has been just, it was like waking up from a nightmare here. But hey, if you want something now, you want something now. If you're really, really wondering whether you should wait or not, that means you can wait, and you probably should. Now, before we go on any further, I do need to let you know that this video is sponsored by CDKdeals. CDKdeals is an online marketplace that offers game keys for several different platforms and genuine software licenses at drastically reduced prices. You can even use code BRAE25 to get an additional 30% off. Here's how it works. Here we have an OEM license for Windows 10 Pro. Of course, all Windows 10 Home and Pro keys can be later upgraded to Windows 11 at no charge. Keep in mind that you'll need a new key if you build a new system or make major hardware changes. OEM keys cannot be used to upgrade from Windows 10 Home to Pro, so make sure you know which version you have installed. Here in the cart, you can use code BRAE25 to get an additional 30% off. So an OEM copy of Windows 10 Pro will drop from $22.72 to just $15.90. After your purchase is complete, click View Keys/Codes, click Get the Key, and copy it. Then go to your Windows search bar, type out Activate, and click Activation Settings. My Windows install is already activated, so I'll be replacing it, but yours should just say Activate Windows. Paste in the key, click Activate, and you're done. Thank you, CDKdeals, for continuing to support the channel. Now, as you heard me say excitedly in the intro for this video, this is going to be sort of I don't want to say battle, because the companies are not exactly the same, between iBUYPOWER and Skytech. iBUYPOWER is absolutely... It's the largest system integrator in the country, if not in the world. I don't know, they sold over 500,000 PCs last year. They do a lot of volume of PCs, and they have some really good deals. Now, you'll find some systems that I don't recommend from iBUYPOWER, usually at third-party retailers. That's not where we're looking. We're not looking at Amazon, we're not looking at Best Buy, any of that. We go, as we normally do, directly to the system integrator for this. You won't find those third-party retailer systems on their actual website. Now, Skytech is sort of a medium yet growing system integrator in size-wise, and they're doing some really cool stuff. You have to check them out on Twitch. The things that they're doing on their Twitch streams are very cool, including doing live builds there, which you can request if you get a custom PC configured through their configurator.
So this is all finished and it is in the process of posting. Lots of fans. Let me try to turn it around.
Very cool.
Cable management.
Dude, you have like A1 cable management.
Thank
you should
you.
seriously make a video on that.
However, we're not doing that today. We're looking at their pre-configured systems. We're going to see how it shakes out for each price point. Now, just to be fair, these are not completely apples to apples, and I will point out any solid differences between the two. I have spent a long time sort of not talking about either of these companies, as I was talking about smaller system integrators and small to medium system integrators in the last few videos. So if you're looking for something that's more boutique, something that is more custom, where you can basically talk to a person, tell them what you want, and then they do it for you, watch some of the previous videos for each Sunday, and you'll see something having a more along those lines, more along your aligning with your tastes there. Just understand that when you're looking at a system integrator that sells higher volume, they can usually offer a lower price. The larger the company, the higher volume of sales, the lower the price to you. However, it's not going to quite have that personal touch. Both companies, regardless of what you've read in, say, reviews, let's say for iBUYPOWER on Best Buy's website or Amazon, we're not looking at those PCs. And these PCs that I've guided my community to getting instead have been fantastic. We've had a lot of positive reports of how everything's working great, and if there is an issue, the customer service has been fantastic from both companies. So keep that in mind moving forward. This is not the Gamers Nexus iBUYPOWER systems that they've reviewed. Those were both from third-party retailers, and those reviews were useful in showing that you shouldn't buy those from third-party retailers. And if you want, you can go down to the link in the description to check out our Discord, and you can talk to the fine folks there. We're at, 2,500 or so people in there who have purchased systems from both companies. We have people, well, I mean, not everybody there is purchasing two PCs. I mean, we have people who've purchased from iBUYPOWER and from Skytech and have reported back great things. So that informs my recommendations, I hope you know. Also, neither of these companies have paid me to say anything about them. This is strictly me just taking a look and seeing what they've got and comparing to different companies. Now, before we actually get into that, we're going to talk about a couple of disclaimers, and these are important, all right? First off, this video is being filmed for May 15th, 2022. Any pricing and availability you see here may change the very next day, or actually maybe while you're watching this video, because it takes time to edit a video that's probably going to be about 30 minutes long or so, or more. So if you see something that you like and it's no longer there, we can probably find you something very similar. Just come to the stream. I stream every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday over at twitch.tv/Breathorn at around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I help people one-on-one through the queue to find a system that suits their budgets and needs. The next one is that I'm gonna throw around some opinions. That's okay. You might have your own opinions. That is also okay. And you can share them in the comments below. In fact, I invite you to. I have been building PCs for over 20 years, and I've spent over 10 years in the IT industry, and I know PCs pretty well, and that informs my opinions. But feel free to disagree. That is your right to do so. And the final one is, of course, you are buying at your own risk. Just like when you buy other things, you buy them at your own risk, whether someone recommends them to you or not. You could get a PC from either of these companies or any system integrator on the planet and have it come in with broken glass on the side, or maybe a GPU that's DOA. That's what warranties are for, and generally getting an RMA from when you have something wrong within the first 30 days, that kind of thing, those get resolved very quickly by actual reporting I get from the community. So for iBUYPOWER, we're going to be looking at not at their customizer, not at their configurator, but at their same-day ready systems. These systems are already built, waiting on a shelf, ready to be shipped to you in like a week or less. It's pretty great, actually. They say delivery by Wednesday, May 18th. That's 3 days from now. Now, there's a ton of systems here, just like we go from all the way from the price point of $850 to, wow, $39.99. So lots of different price points. Basically, you can just go in here, go to the scale here and change the range of prices and find the price that's right for you. So let's talk about Skytech. Skytech just has this is skytechgaming.com, and I just clicked on pre-built gaming PCs to get to this screen. And it is sorted by popularity right now. I tend to sort by price, low to high. We are going to be looking at specific price points, of course. We don't want to make this a 2-hour-long video. I'm already long-winded enough as it is. For any PC you choose here, you can put in code Breathorn and get a nice little discount off of there. So starting it off, we're going to start off at very low budgets for both. We're going to go with this system here from iBUYPOWER, and this one features an Intel Core i3 12100F, but it's got an RX 6500 XT. Now, this is one of the newer offerings from AMD, and it wasn't very well received. It's not that great of a GPU, so not a great choice there. But at a price point of $899, it's going to be budget. The downside of this system, and I believe the other one as well, is going to be 8 gigs of RAM, DDR4 3200. It's a single stick of memory. Now, at least that is easy to upgrade. This one, of course, is using the Slate Hako MR case, and it looks like it's using the stock cooler as well. which is fine for a 12100F. And this has got a B660 motherboard. Okay, that's perfect for something that's not an unlocked processor. And a 600 watt power supply, perfectly sufficient for what you got here. A 500 gig M.2 drive. One of these guys right here, little storage drive. There you go. That's your M.2 drive. This is a 1 terabyte, and what I would at the very least recommend for building a system is to get a 1 terabyte, but adding storage is super easy. Now next we got the Blaze 2. The Blaze 2 is a system from Skytech. It is $899. Now I will mention here that this system is not going to get the $50 off from iBUYPOWER. It's not $9.99 or more. However, you should still get your discount off of the Blaze 2. What we're looking at here is unfortunately pretty old gen. It's 2 generations back on Intel, but most people preferred 10th gen Intel over 11th gen. So this is actually a 10400F 6-core processor. The 12100F has 4 cores, 8 threads. This one right here has 6 cores, so it's going to be slower on each core basically than your 12100F because that is newer architecture on the 12th gen Intel. However, you're going to be better able to multitask on this. This also just has 8 gigs of RAM. Same speed, DDR4, single channel. You're going to want to get that to 16 gigs at least for a gaming PC for modern gaming. Also a 500 gig NVMe SSD, 600 watt power supply. A lot of it looks very familiar. I will say between the two, the Slate Hako MR case here doesn't have very good airflow. I tested this. I did a review on a system from them with this. It's okay. It's not great. Here, this is a smaller case. If you're looking to get something that's a little smaller, this is actually a better option. Plus, you actually have 2 vents on this, on both sides of the glass there. Out of the 2 budget cards that came out of it from NVIDIA and from AMD, the 3050 has proven a lot more capable. It has a lot more VRAM. It is faster. It provides a much better 1080p gaming experience. Now, on the iBUYPOWER one, that is 12th gen Intel. So if you're looking to get on a newer platform, well, that's the way to go. I mean, you could always put a 12400 on there, or 12600, or 12600K. If you're getting a really, really budget system and you're not really planning on upgrading it much, this is the way to go. Now next, we're gonna look at a budget of $1,200 or so. Now here we have this one has a Core i5 12400F and a 3050. Now the 12400F, I tested that when I reviewed the Hoplite system, which I'm going to put I guess I'm putting a bunch of cards in this video, is right here, that Hoplite from Alexander PCs. It was this combo, 12400F and RTX 3050. And then comparing that, we have the Archangel 3.0. And this one is $1,249.99. This one has a Ryzen platform here. This is a Ryzen 5 3600 6-core processor, 6 cores, 12 threads, just like the 12400F. And it's also in a case that is lacking in the airflow department. It's got the Wraith Stealth cooler, which AMD coolers are certainly superior to Intel stock coolers from these generations. Looks like you get fans all around. On this one, so you should have a couple fans on the front for intake, and this is it. That's your intake, and these 3 are exhaust right here. Here though, you're looking at a 1 terabyte SSD. Now it does show a 2.5 inch SSD right here. To be completely fair, gaming is not super affected by fast storage. Load times, yes, but this does have the sockets here for M.2 drives, so you could get yourself a $90 1 terabyte M.2 drive. But yeah, the GPU for this, it's a 2060. Now, Braithorn, I hear you say, that's a 20 series GPU. The 3050 is a 30 series GPU. That makes it more better, right? Well, no. The 2060 is still, it's kind of a beast. It still runs awesome and actually is more powerful than the 3050. You can actually get into some 1440p gaming with this system right here and do pretty well, especially if you're doing esports titles, things like that, first-person shooters, Valorant, games like that. This would be great for that. This has 16 gigs of DDR4 memory. It is 3000 megahertz. That is not great for a Ryzen 3600. Any 3000 or 5000 series Ryzen processors, you generally want to shoot for around 3600. Over here for RAM, you got 16 gigs of DDR4 3200, so that is faster, and you have a faster processor with a 12400F, but you have a slower GPU. I'm going to give this one to Skytech as well. If gaming is your priority, this is going to be a better option. Plus, You can then later on have the upgrade path to go with something like a 5000 series Ryzen processor. Now, I do want to remind you guys that I'd have the full review on the Hoplite, which I put the card up earlier. And this is it right here. This is the Hoplite right there. Now, this one comes in at $1338, yes, but you can get $50 off with code Breathorn, so that takes it down to $1288, okay? So that puts it right in line with these prices here, plus shipping is free if you're in the continental US, and it has a lifetime warranty. So above both of these, I just want to mention that I recommend the Hoplite above both the iBUYPOWER system and the Skytech one. You just can't beat this. Now we're getting into some higher pricing here. This is $1599. This is a 12th gen Intel system. Again, it's a Core i5-12600KF and on a Z690 motherboard. So yes, you can overclock it and do all that good stuff. And an RTX 3060 Ti. And let me tell you guys, the 3060 Ti, it takes people by surprise. It punches above its weight class. It is a fantastic GPU. 1 terabyte M.2 drive and 600 watt power supply is right about there where they recommend it to be for the 3060 Ti. And most of these systems from iBUYPOWER are going to have 16 gigs of RAM. That's kind of their standard until you get into the really higher range. If you're just gaming for like 95% of games, that's plenty. So games like Escape from Tarkov or super modded Minecraft or things like that, it's going to require more memory. Just keep that in mind and understand that DDR4 memory is super cheap, available everywhere, and very easy to install. And now let's move over to the option from Skytech. And there's actually a couple. I was looking at this Chronos here because the Chronos came in with a 12600K on a B660 motherboard. Remember I mentioned that before? No, you can't overclock it, but it has the efficiency cores, so you do get a ton more performance than a non-K 12600. But it has a 3060, so it doesn't quite line up with the other one. Just know if you're really more towards 1080p gaming, this is a great option for you to get that 12600K processor, which by the way, can also edit video pretty well. It's right up there with the 5900X. So the one that aligns better is actually the Azure here. And this comes in a custom special edition Skytech InWin 103 case. Pretty cool case. And even though this shows you that there's a stock cooler right here, that's not the cooler you would actually get. You would get a 240 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. So yeah, that looks pretty solid, not airflow-wise. But if we take a look at the InWin case here, you'll see that there is ventilation on the right side, and that is where Skytech has a couple of fans there. They're gonna set those up as exhaust. And the downside of that really is that there are 0 intake fans here. That's a negative air pressure setup. Now, why is that bad? Why would that be a bad thing? There are some systems that are designed to work in a negative air pressure setup, and this could very well be one of them. In fact, you have a lot of ventilation on the bottom, including a dust filter on the bottom, which is nice, that you can filter out. You could even put fans down there to make those intake, and I highly recommend that. But the downside of a negative pressure system, if it's accidental, is that you're gonna have a lot of unfiltered perforations here where the PCIe slots are. And that unfiltered nature of that means that air is going to be more likely to go through there than the filtered air. I mean, it's less resistance there, and it's going to bring in more dust right into your GPU. I would flip those side fans around to make them intake. Yes, it's going to bring hot air through the radiator, right? That's still going to cool the CPU really nicely, and the GPU gets cool air from the bottom. And you can add a couple fans down there. Let's use this fan as an example, okay? This is a Noctua fan. It's NFA15 from Noctua, Chromax Black, beautiful, for the NHD15 cooler. So this part is the front of the fan, technically, right? And it's nice, pretty, there's no bars going across it, whatever. This is where air goes into. Flip it around and you see the supports for the hub, okay? Where the motor is. And this is where air comes out of. If you're looking from the inside of the case, wherever a fan is supposed to be an intake, you wanna see this. It's 4 screws per fan. You remove those 4 screws, flip the fan around, you're good to go. Performance and longevity matter a lot more than aesthetics, and that's coming from someone who really likes an aesthetically nice computer. So with the price being so different, I can't sit here and say, well, this one's better. Objectively, prices notwithstanding, it is better, in my opinion, but you can't really ignore the price on this one. Because it is going to be $1549 after the $50 discount. Now, I had to stop when I saw this deal, because beyond this, it's gonna be pretty hard to beat iBUYPOWER. I'm not gonna say they were messing around, but if they were, they are no longer messing around. You may have noticed from a lot of videos you're going to see on YouTube, if you like a lot of tech channels, which you should because they're very cool, that GPU prices are dropping. And they have come to basically around MSRP. You can, at almost any time, get a GPU at MSRP, okay? Well, I guess iBUYPOWER's already done that, because check out this system right here. First off, this is the new case, all right? This is a slate mesh. And we're gonna talk about this. Just you wait, we're gonna talk about this in just a bit. But here we have a 12700KF, so it's an i7 processor, an RTX 3080, 16 gigs of DDR4 3600, 1 terabyte M.2 drive, 240 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler in the mesh case with a Z690 board and a 750 watt 80 plus gold certified power supply. We'll talk about that too. For $1899. That's ridiculous. You weren't seeing systems with a 3080 for under $2,000, and even the $2,000 ones were rare. And I love the fact that iBUYPOWER has gone towards a more airflow-centric design. You know what this sort of half of this middle fan and definitely this bottom fan, you know what they feed? They feed the GPU fresh air. You know what the Slate Hako MR had trouble with? Cooling the GPU. And these are not cool running components, okay? There's a 12700KF and a 3080. So why couldn't it just be all mesh? Why does there have to be glass on the front? I will give you the benefit of the doubt here because of the fact that y'all went out of your way to make a half glass, half mesh front panel. And hey, you know what? Offer the front panel by itself. Because if this is just a Slate chassis with the same tooling, that front panel should fit on all the Slate cases. Offer this as just a, I don't know, $25, $30 thing that people can buy and have shipped to them. When your GPU is just redlining, just bumping up against that thermal throttle all the time, it is not just lowering frequencies. It's running the fans at maximum speed constantly. And what is the number one thing that usually causes an RMA for a GPU? Fan going out. And most manufacturers, most add-in board partners do not make it very easy to replace a fan. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with this. I don't know. I would really like to test it for myself. So I'm going to, even though we've got DreamHack coming up in a few weeks and I got to go to that in Dallas, I'm going to try to, make the Y60 review come out a little faster so I can get that system back to you guys, as much as I love it, so you can send me one of these, because I really got to get my hands on this case. Okay, now I get to rant about power supplies. Okay, let's talk about power supplies. When NVIDIA released the 30 series GPUs, they released a listing of recommendations for power supply wattages, okay? And the 3080 was recommended to get a 750 watt power supply for the overall system. In some cases, it was a bit generous, right? It was just, or conservative, I should say. Like, you know what? They're gonna add a little extra on top there just to make sure there's a little overhead. Once you get into the 3080 Ti and 3090, they still said 750 watts, and that's not quite enough. It's really not for those cards. So 750 watts is what they recommended for the 3080. And you would look at this and say, okay, they're going by they're building to spec, and that's fine. The problem is that those estimates were released well before 12th gen Intel was released. And NVIDIA never updated them. Intel processors used to have a certain amount of time that they could turbo the core clocks, basically turbo boost the core clocks to a higher frequency, and it would do it for a certain amount of seconds and then stop. Basically take care of any, when it's under load, it would take care of any heavy processing it had to do and then go back to the base clocks or something near it. They took that limitation away from 12th gen Intel because Intel was very serious about Alder Lake. They're basically feeding it all the power it could possibly want. And when you're talking about needing to keep extra headroom for your GPU because of potential transient power spikes, and you have a 12700KF just eating up extra power, and then RGB fans, their overall motherboard power, whatever that's supplying power to. It's no longer really that great to run the minimum spec anymore, the minimum recommended spec. You want to overbuild a bit, and overbuilding, not a bad thing. 850 watts is what I recommend for this system, at least. What I was talking about earlier was, like, this is not egregious. This is not that bad. This is still building to spec. This is what I was talking about with main gear, and they're still pushing this system, the Vibe RTX 3070. Cool, they have 3600 megahertz memory for a Ryzen 1500X. That's good. That's a sweet spot for 5000 series Ryzen. Oh, cool, 3070 Founders Edition. Oh, that's rad. Okay, cool. 240 millimeter AIO. Sweet. 500 watt power supply. Now, to be fair, 1500X is not super demanding when it comes to power. They run very efficiently. But a 3070, this is 150 watts under what they recommended for a 3070. This is just cheap. It's just you being cheap, all right? Like, power supplies, especially in the quantities in which a company like yours purchases them, are not that pricey. And honestly, I like some of the stuff that y'all do. I don't like this, and this has been up for a long time. If someone wanted to get something like a 3080 and they wanted to get as cheap of a price as they could, because they had to have that 3080, I'd usually send them to Build Redux, because Build Redux had some ridiculous prices. Well, this isn't even close. This is not even close. I put together a quick PC part picker list that's an equivalent build to this, okay? It's more expensive. I even found the they sometimes use MSI GPUs, they'll use Gigabyte GPUs, but here I picked the MSI GeForce RTX 3080, Ventus 3X OC, the cheapest 3080 I could find at $879 on Amazon. $1,863.91 before taxes. And then you don't get a warranty. So yeah, this is really hard to beat. Now, the last thing I want to cover here are some higher end systems here. So this one is the 12900KF system with a Z690 DDR5 motherboard. It has a 3080 Ti and 32 gigs of DDR5, 6,000 mega transfers per second RAM. That is super fast RAM with a 2 terabyte M.2 drive and a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler and a 750 watt power supply. I know NVIDIA said 750 watts for the 3080 Ti, but that's the 12900K just drinks power. It just like it's Scrooge McDuck in his money vault, just swimming through it, just taking it all. This is an immediate power supply upgrade right here that you would need to do. However, everything else is awesome. Every other aspect of it. The case is the LandCool 2 Mesh, one of the best performing high airflow cases on the market. So what competes with this at Skytech? Because that is the theme of this episode. Well, the Prism 2. Now, this is a little bit more money and a little bit less processor, but that's probably good. This is a 12700K, not KF, but K, so this does have the iGPU. It has a 3080 Ti, 32 gigs of DDR5, 4800, 360 millimeter cooler. It comes in a Lian Li lookalike case, although they probably wouldn't like me saying that. Which is the Fantex Cube, and a 1 terabyte Gen 4 M.2 drive instead of a 2 terabyte, probably Gen 3 drive. This has a 1000 watt power supply. You see, that's all you had to do.
That's not so hard. We could do that.
Piece of cake.
This comes with 1 year parts, labor, and shipping support, which means that if you have to RMA it back to them for the entire first year, at any point, they pay for shipping to them and back to you. You should be able to upgrade your warranty to up to 3 years of all three: parts, labor, and shipping. Well, you're gonna get a case that's a lot more showy, which is nice. It's also designed after Lian Li case, and I can tell you the build quality on the Metallic Gear Neo Cube, quite good. I'm not a fan of the way that they orient their fans, but then again, fans can just be moved. You can move the radiator to the top and have top exhaust and side intake if you so desire. That is up to you. But besides that, the fact that you have a more adequate power supply, which for the iBUYPOWER system, what did I say you had to do? Upgrade the power supply. That right there, you lose the money that you save going with the iBUYPOWER system. And let me tell you the difference between a 12900K and a 12700K if you're a gamer. About 2%. 2 to 3% on average between the two when it comes to gaming. When it comes to content creation, Photoshop, video editing, stuff like that, coding, it's gonna do better. When it comes to gaming, they have the same number of performance cores, 8 each. 12900K has 8 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores. 12700K has 8 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores. It is more geared towards gaming. I'd say the deal of the day, the deal of this entire video is gonna be this system right here. That is gonna be the gaming ready 6MBUG 201. And this is gonna be the end of the video. So if you guys wanna chat about this, or you want help finding a PC that's right for you, or you wanna hear about a company that I didn't cover here. By the way, if you wanna know if I covered a company, go to the YouTube search bar, put in Breathorn, and then the name of that company. I put the names of the companies in every video title, so you can search it up like that. You can see what I said about them, and then come back into the stream and let's talk about it. And stream again every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, where you can get free one-on-one help with finding the PC, the gaming PC of your dreams. Just jump in the queue, wait your turn, and I will help you out for free. And aside from that, we'll just hang out, have a good time, talk nerdy. It's gonna be awesome. Anyway, I will see you guys. We have another video coming out from PAX, coming out in a day or two, and I will see y'all then and on stream and next Sunday. Until then, take care.